What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at 15 things you need to know before you purchase Astral Chain on the Nintendo Switch. First up, Takahisa Tura, the producer of Nier on the PlayStation 4, Platinum Games' best-selling game of all time, is the lead producer for Astral Chain, and this is his first big shot on his own game. He was just one of the supporting roles in terms of production for Nier on the PlayStation 4, so this is his shot to be the lead producer and direct his own game. You've seen him during Nintendo Directs. You have Tora-san's case files on Twitter that Nintendo of America have been putting out, and it's really cool to see somebody as esteemed as this, that helped out with Platinum Games' best-selling title of all time, get his own shot at his own game as an exclusive on the Nintendo Switch. Astral Chain features combat that's a bit of a fusion between Bayonetta, Nier, and even the wonderful 101. So this one's a bit tricky because you have combos and the kind of the style of a Bayonetta, but it doesn't have the in-depth fluidity of that when it comes to combat. But then it kind of has some aspects of Nier, especially with some of the more open parts, which we'll talk about in a bit. But then it even has the wonderful 101 kind of thrown in there because of the different forms of legions that you can play as, same as the different forms that you can transform to into the wonderful 101. So Astral Chain has a lot of variety and a lot of style. Astral Chain supports Joy-Con, Pro controllers, tabletop mode, portable, and docked. So pretty much any style or any way that you want to play Astral Chain, you can definitely do so. Heck, the single Joy-Con play, that's pretty incredible in its own right, considering how small and tiny the Joy-Cons are, and playing it that way, I mean, it is tough, but it is supported in the game. Or if you want to play the game handheld, feel free to do so. Pro controller, want to play it on your TV docked, or even tabletop mode with the Pro controller, or even with the Joy-Cons together, kind of like in a regular controller or split Joy-Cons, you can pretty much play any way that you want to with Astral Chain. Even on normal, the game is a challenge where you're constantly going to have to employ great strategy. This is something that I've been seeing in a number of reviews. There is a challenge to this game. You are going to have to make sure you plan out your attack and you switch your legions and you kind of use the best moves and the best tactics for any given situation. It is not a simple button masher to where you can just kind of go through and just press whatever you want and be able to destroy everyone. You are going to get destroyed if you employ that type of quick strategy and not really think out what you need to do or how you need to fight before you get into your battles. The game runs at 30 frames per second, not 60 frames per second like Bayonetta 2 on the Nintendo Switch. However, the game does make up for it for having more of an open world aspect to it. Not a completely open world game, but definitely has an open-ended arc area to where you can kind of go around and do other things. So it does make up for that, for not having the 60 frames per second. 30 frames per second is playable though, but it's something that you definitely need to know. Players can unlock new outfits and even fight with a cat on their head. Now, this is probably the most important thing about this game that you guys need to know, is that yes, you can fight with the cat on your head. The outfits that you can use can even make you look more ridiculous or more awesome while fighting with a cat on your head. You can also pet the cats and pick up the cats as well. So cats are a running theme in this game. Get used to them. Astral Chain does support Nintendo's built-in video capture, and this is interesting because some games support this, some games don't support it when it comes to the video capture. Most games usually do, but it's something that you have to kind of put in there. You have to be thinking about it, so some games don't support it. But if you wanted to share your clips of Astral Chain on the internet, you can definitely do so on Twitter with your clips. And I think that this game, more so than any of the other games out there, especially Platinum Games titles, there's always really cool things that happen in like short amounts of time when it comes to the flashy and fast-paced style combat. So supporting the video capture feature is definitely a good idea. Players can switch between 5 different legions, all with their own forms and skill trees. So this is something we alluded to a little bit with the wonderful 101 gameplay, but there are 5 total legions that you can swap between, but they're not all the same. They're different types of legions, they have different combat abilities, and they all have their own skill tree with similar things like getting buffs with power or speed, but also getting unique skills that only that legion can do. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you even out your legions and you make sure that you explore each one so you're not caught off guard in certain battles. The game does feature New Game Plus, so you can carry over your equipment and stats to the next playthrough, which is always important for people that are trying to 100% the game, or if you just want to have that continuation and not lose all of your progress. Nothing is more frustrating than beating a game and then there isn't New Game Plus, especially with games with a lot of content, those kind of RPG style of games. I hate that. So to all developers, make sure you guys make New Game Plus. Astral Chain does support local 2-player co-op where someone else can pick up the controller and play as a legion. Now there isn't a ton of people that have tried this out as of yet because it's just reviews, but from what I understand, somebody else can easily just pick up a Joy-Con, single Joy-Con play, another Pro controller, pick that up and actually start fighting as a legion. But you have to make sure that you guys kind of fight intact, because the legion, while it does kind of move around and fight on its own regularly, the legion is kind of synced up with the player. Whenever there is a linked or a combo attack that they can do, it's easy to do that because it's AI. However, when you're playing with local co-op, you have to kind of link that up yourself and say, okay, now we're ready to do this. So it's a little bit more of a challenge, but if somebody else wants to hop in and play as the legion in co-op, they can definitely do so. But there isn't online multiplayer, so no online multiplayer, just local co-op. Astral Chain isn't all about combat. You have to investigate certain locations with your iris to progress through the story. So Astral Chain has a ton of fast-paced combat, which is absolutely amazing. However, there are times where things kind of slow down a little bit to where you need to use your iris to solve different side quest missions and even main missions to progress. Kind of think of it as like a Batman Arkham City or Arkham Asylum detective type of mode, where you have this special eye that kind of sees different things. You can reconstruct the crime scenes or the scenes of action in terms of what happened, and then you can follow footprints. You can do different things in order to kind of solve what you need to get through in the mission. So it's a little bit of a different pace, and it also adds a little bit more game variety that isn't all just action, 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 and combat. This game has a lot of RPG elements and side quests. Guys, this is not a quick 5 or 6 hour game. You're going to be doing a ton of different things within the world of Astral Chain. There's RPG elements to level up your legions. You have different types of side quests that you can go do in order to get certain parts for customization or for upgrading. There's a lot of different factors that go into Astral Chain, so it's one of those things that you guys definitely need to know, especially if you're thinking that this game is going to be linear or if it's not going to have a lot of variety within the intrinsic leveling. Well, that's not the case with Astral Chain. Toda-san, the game's producer, said if Astral Chain is successful, he would like to make future entries. So it's very important that everyone go out there and buy Astral Chain. If this game is successful, then Toda-san and of course Nintendo would have to collaborate in order to get a sequel, which I would love to happen. Bayonetta has been fantastic. Nier is also continuation of the games that they've done before, but in a whole different way. So if Astral Chain could kind of live up to that and can kind of get into the next big franchise for Nintendo, I think that's going to benefit players, Platinum Games, and of course Nintendo as well. This game's length is 20 hours plus, even without doing all of the side quests or getting 100% completion rate. Kind of like I alluded to, this isn't a tiny or small type of game when it comes to campaign length. There's a lot of stuff to do. There's people that have spent up to 40 hours in the game and still haven't gotten everything, so you're going to be able to have a lot of content in there. It is definitely longer, even with the base campaign, than a game like Bayonetta 1 or even Bayonetta 2, which those kind of clock in around maybe 10 to 15 hours or so, 20 if you're really stretching it. But Astral Chain definitely seems to have the content packed into there to give you at least 20 hours not doing everything. And if you want to get 100% completion rate, you're probably looking at 40, 50 hours plus for this one. So very good on that front. And last but definitely not least, Astral Chain currently has an 88 on Metacritic, with reviewers raving about the great atmosphere, action, and gameplay. So Metacritic scores aren't everything, but when it comes down to it, people want a lot of different opinions before they decide to spend their hard-earned money. And what you can see with Astral Chain, that most people that are playing the game from a critic perspective are absolutely enjoying it and loving it. From a user perspective, anybody that's gotten their hands on the game at like a press event or show or whatever it is has said that the game is absolutely amazing and is very fun to play. So Astral Chain is looking very good for Nintendo and Platinum Games, and I'm really happy that Mr. Tura-san was able to complete this game, and it's launching this Friday. So even if you don't pick it up right away, definitely consider getting it at some point, because Astral Chain is going to be an amazing experience for gamers out there, especially if you love action games as much as I do. All right, guys, so that wraps it up for my 15 things that you need to know before you purchase Astral Chain on the Nintendo Switch. What are some things that players need to know about the game before they pick it up? Let me know your thoughts, and if you're going to be getting the game, in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.